This is the Deb Hutton Show on NEWSTALK 1010.
Quote, the OPP investigation found no evidence to support the belief that Detective Constables Lisa Forbes, Pace, or Correa lied or colluded to lie, end quote.
That is the voice of Toronto Police Chief Myron Demkiw at a press conference at 1:30 this afternoon. He was joined by Clayton Campbell, president of the Toronto Police Association, as well as Detective Constable Jeffrey Northrup's widow. The press conference was held to release a report done for Chief Demkiw by the OPP into allegations that surfaced during the trial of Umar Zamir. Umar Zamir was charged, subsequently acquitted, with the first-degree murder of Jeffrey Northrup. Joining me to break this down this afternoon is Clayton Campbell, president of the Toronto Police Association. Thanks so much for joining me, Clayton.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Deb.
So I some different questions for you than some of the other experts we've talked to today. You made a statement, you read a statement on behalf of the three officers that Chief Demkiw just spoke about. Those officers were accused very bluntly by Justice Anne Malloy, who was the presiding judge in the first-degree murder trial. You spoke about them, and you also called on Justice Malloy to apologize. Mm-hmm. Talk a little bit about your fellow officers.
Yeah, first of all, very proud of them. They've continued to come into work for the last 5 years, serve the citizens of Toronto, and done a fabulous job through such a traumatic incident. And it's been tough, right? They've gone from seeing and observing their friend and colleague killed in the line of duty.
In one case, partner,
yeah, Lisa Forbes, her partner being killed. Very, very sad, traumatic, and emotional, even for me to talk about. To the trial, and then the day after the trial, the commencement of this investigation that went on for 2 years. And so there's a sense of relief in some ways that the truth has come out, but it's been a long road for them of sadness, some anger, some frustration. But I'm happy now that they can hopefully, after almost 5 years, have some time to take a breath and grieve their loss of a friend and colleague.
You mentioned anger, and one of the things, knowing you were coming in this afternoon, I wanted to ask you, because a reporter asked you and Chief Demkiw, were you angry at some of the questions today? Because it felt, I mean, obviously there was a great deal of emotion, as you just said, but the frustration that this report is being called into question because it is a situation of police investigating police, no matter how different the OPP and Toronto Police Service is.
No, I thought the questions were fair. Okay. I think the media has a really important role to ask those tough questions of the people in these positions. And I wasn't angry. It's a little different for the chief and I when we speak to these members all the time. We know them. Mm-hmm. We live with the ups and downs that they feel, the emotional ups and downs, the trauma, the personal and professional challenges they've had. Look, this has been really tough on them. So there is a lot of emotion, especially when I'm sitting there and I can see Margaret Northrup, who lost a husband. Yes, he was a police officer serving the city when he was killed, but she lost her husband and someone she was with for a long time. So a lot of emotions do come up, but it certainly wasn't anger.
So, there seems to be two issues aside from the validity of the OPP investigating Toronto Police Service, which is a discussion that will continue, I have no doubt. But there's two issues here. One is around the differences in the reconstruction of what was presented at trial and what was presented today in the OPP report. My takeaway from it was that the colleagues of the three officers you just talked about, the colleagues of Detective Constable Northrup, actually, if their reporting is not accurate, as the OPP has pointed out, actually led to the allegations, led to the acquittal, and yet all on the same team. I mean, is there a disappointment that Toronto Police Service in the reconstruction area did not do its job?
No, not from my part. I know that every single officer involved in this investigation, and there were dozens, did so in good faith and to the best of their abilities. This investigation was commenced by Chief Demkew because of the comments of the judge, Anne Malloy. Right. That's why this investigation was commenced. She was not talking about it's a potential that there's two different stories or it's a potential that these officers colluded. She stated it as fact.
Lied and colluded.
That they lied and colluded to lie.
Right.
And the investigation, the OPP investigation, showed that wasn't true. That when you really look at, and it's a very long report, I encourage everybody to read it. It's interesting, very detailed, but there was no opportunity for them to collude. And in fact, when they talked, the judge's comments around that they pointed their guns at the heads of Mr. Zamir and his wife, no one talked about that. There was no evidence ever given, no statement. That was something the judge on her own brought up. So my focus is on the judge that made these comments, criminal allegations against our member, and they needed an opportunity to be vindicated.
You called for an apology.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll get it?
You know, I say unknown. We all make mistakes. If someone in the media makes a mistake, you come on and apologize. If I make a mistake, I apologize. The chief as well has apologized for things in the past. Legally, is she required to? Probably not. But she's a human being. These officers are human beings, and her words caused a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, and 2 years of suffering for these officers. And she apologized to Umar Zamir in front of Margaret Northrup. You know, the fact is that Umar Zamir did kill Jeffrey Northrup. You know, the acquittal stands, but I think she does owe these officers an apology.
Do you sense that they are, I know this is new, but do you sense that they are prepared to take anything further?
So we've talked about that very briefly. I think for the first time in many years, they can take a breath.
Right.
They can evaluate what's happened. They can feel that the truth has come out and they've been vindicated. But we'll talk in the future if there are next steps for them, and we'll support them. But I think right now it's a time for them to grieve. They haven't been able to grieve since this incident happened on July 2nd, 2021. And now it's an opportunity, like I said, to take a breath, grieve, and if there's next steps, we'll be there to support them.
Are you concerned that perhaps the Solicitor General or the province would call for an inquest or a public inquiry to, I guess, give the public a greater sense that these two different reconstructions, that the two different sets of information actually can be reconciled?
Yeah, I haven't put my mind much to that today, but the truth has come out. And I think if you read that report from the OPP, very thorough. They brought in an outside crown from Manitoba as an example. Right. Very thorough investigation. The traffic reconstruction was one part of the investigation. I encourage everybody to read it. There was a lot of...
I got through about 3/4 before I had to come on air, but I got through a good chunk of it.
It's a lot, and I encourage everybody to read it. But, I mean, for today, our focus is Margaret Northrup, remembering her husband, father of 3, who was killed in the line of duty serving this city proudly for a lot of years, and the vindication of 3 police officers for the last 2 years. They've been under this cloud, and finally the truth has come out, and they've been vindicated and exonerated.
The last time you and I chatted, we were talking about Project South. How is morale with Toronto Police? Because there's been a lot here.
Yeah, there's been a lot on the go, and I think Project South, most members actually report the public saying positive things. There's been a few negative things, but most of the members are saying when they're out there, the public is saying, we know that's not you. Right. I think the strong stance, the association came out and said, listen, we don't, and our members don't support corrupt cops. I think we're in long ways. I hope the public still supports us. I feel that they do. It's something that we don't take for granted. And that's where when things don't go well, we come out and we face it. And when things like this happen, when officers are vindicated, we're out there as well. And it's important for me to always just be truthful and honest with the public.
I will say for my part, seeing you and the police chief on numerous occasions now together makes me feel better about how things are working.
Yeah, and we talked about it when we went through Project South. Clearly, the chief of police and the head of the Toronto Police Association are going to have differences of opinion and be at odds with each other, sometimes in the public. The reality, most things we sort out privately, but we each have a role to play. I proudly represent over 8,700 members of the Toronto Police Service. I take that job very serious, and I know that I'm their voice, and it's an important role. But having said that, certain times we need to come together. And I'll say today, one of the reasons we came together was at the request of Margaret Northrup. She is very happy that both the Toronto Police Association and Toronto Police Service have been supportive of her and her family. And she asked me if the chief and I could do this news conference together. So, of course, we'd oblige.
Clayton Campbell is president of Toronto Police Association. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
4:30, time now for News Talk 1010 Time Saver Traffic.
Well, heads up if you're headed out this hour. Eastbound 401 collectors approaching the 427, ongoing collision. Still there blocking the right lane and shoulder. Westbound 401 at Brock Street and Whitby.